Hello, welcome to Authortunities Open Mic, where the whole point of this is for you to promote yourself. Whether you write poetry or prose, this is the place for you to share it. And if you want to find out more about the Authortunities Open Mic and how you can participate, go ahead and go to authortunities.substack.com.
Grab some paper, grab your pen, open opportunities, and you can begin. When you exercise your rights and get published, you may change. Write your own path, both wonderful and strange, with opportunities.
And we have a full house today. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves and promote themselves. Remember, guys, that is the whole point of this. So feel free to promote your books and your other work. I see Amanda's kind of like, ooh, yes. Because this is the spotlight for because it's really hard to get out there, right? Especially, it's not easy being a poet. So we're just going to go ahead and start into this, and we're going to do 2 rounds tonight because we have just the right kind of vibe and atmosphere and people for that. And again, people can read poetry or prose, and we don't really have any rules except for don't hate. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go round robin. I'm going to start with Pixie and go around on my screen. Pixie, Amanda, I guess me, Gordon, Ayana, and Shane. And please let me know if I mispronounce anything or get anybody's pronouns wrong or anything like that. All right, let's get started. You want to kick us off, Pixie? Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us all the wonderful things about your work and read us some poetry or prose.
Okay, my name is Pixie Bruner. I am a writer, editor, and cancer survivor. My book, The Body as Haunted, was released on Authortunities Press. I've been published in Dreams and Nightmares, Starline. I signed a contract with a very important press today. And I am editor, curator of the dark speculative fiction anthology, Nature Triumphs. And I'm going to be reading a poem I wrote today called Glow the Hell Up. If I am to be the villainess of your story, if there is to be a witch hunt, and I am to be dressed like a deer, gutted and hoisted from the hanging tree, demands that the scared of you villagers, all terrified they'll be next, come for me with pitchforks and torches to drive me out of the book. I would at least like a glow up, a complete makeover. I want to look the part I've been cast in. If I am to be the villainess in the narrative, at least Disneyfy me and let me be beautiful. I want to be stylish. Give me Cruella's hair, or better yet, Ursula's. Let me have an exact replica of Ursula's perfect gown in a petite size to look the part. Let me have the bone structure, the sleek grace of magnificent Maleficent, and have perfect makeup. Purple eyeshadow, arched brows, a striking complexions, and lips, red delicious as an apple to be bitten. Barring that, a private island shaped as a skull would be nice too. And minions or henchmen. I'd like feline henchmen, please, in tuxedos, as I love a well-dressed cat. No mice need apply. A dragon would be to die for. Just divine, darling. Oh, yes, I have power. I can say no. I have healthy boundaries. I said no more. No is magical, better than 1,000 thorn thickets. However, if I cannot have these things, and I am the monster, just give me a good backstory, how I became so wicked and evil in this tale. What was my motivation? And who hurt me, as hurt people hurt people? Perhaps some empathy was always too much to ask. How was I doing was never asked once. But barring all those things, at least give me a very fucking phenomenal cape. Let me at least look fabulous when I am vilified in this version. Thank you very much. It is unpublished. I just wrote it today.
Woo, unmute yourselves. I love that. I agree. I also want perfect villainous everything. What
Thank you. Yeah, it's just a
caused that? Were you
fantasy.
watching Disney? Are we allowed to say Disney in anything? Is that like a copyrighted word?
I don't know, but I used it. I
Yeah.
love Disney villainesses. I think they were so
Yes.
fashionable. So if everyone is their own hero in this story, well, I want to be the villain and I want to look like Ursula and have Cruella de Vil fun things. And I want to have a great cape. That was just
Yeah.
me running with the fantasy.
Yeah, why can't we do that? I think I read like villains, the reason why we like villains so much is because they always kind of just do their own thing and they don't care.
No, they're free thinkers and they say no and they chase their dreams.
Yeah.
They don't give up either.
Yeah.
There's
And they have
something
great
good
laughs.
about bad in them. They're inspirational in a weird way. That's why we love the anti-hero.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
usually
absolutely.
have better motivation than Disney protagonists.
Yeah. Yeah, because what do they
Definitely.
do? Sing to birds, you know?
And
They've
they're
been
passive.
screwed over. They've been screwed over too.
Exactly. This is a poem about not being passive and needing to be rescued. It's about rescuing yourself.
And I think from a feminist stance, they're always outside of the norm of society and they're vilified because, as Pixie pointed out, they're just independent thinkers. They're like, these standards are not acceptable. These standards are confining. And they get labeled the bad guy. Like, as you pointed out, like Cruella de Vil or Ursula. Like, how did Ursula become who she was?
Yeah, she had a legally binding contract and she was cheated.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So here's we go. This is how we all became a superhero poet band of villains. I guess I'd be super villain band of villains. Awesome. Thank you, Pixie. You should send that somewhere. Like Space and Time opens up in July. The same.
I know. I'm going to do something with that. I just wrote it today.
That's good. I like that. All right. Well, Amanda, would you like to be next? Go ahead and introduce yourself and promote yourself and get all the fame. All the spotlight is on you right now.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Worthington. I wear a lot of hats. So I chair the Heartland chapter of the HWA. And I've been doing that for, I think, a year and a half or something like that. And it's really taking off. And I'm really proud of that. As a writer, I kind of do poetry as well as fiction. I'm trying to focus a little bit more on my fiction writing game. But I definitely started with poetry. And I kind of was thinking the other day, and I think that poetry is kind of my outlining process because I am totally a pantser and I hate outlining. But I think what I do is if I write a poem about it, that's my outline sort of, and then I can take it and run with it. So I've had a number of things published. I'm trying to up my productivity this year. Kind of got hit by a lot of life things. But I have been published in, I've had a poem in Space and Time. I've been in Siren's Call with a cryptid short story. I recently found out a story that's near and dear to my heart called The Final Girls, being published by Carnage House, which is a big thing for me because I am not much of a extreme horror writer, but I've been trying to grow in just different ways within the genre. So I was very proud to hear that news. I do have a website. It's like the Mandela Effect. It's the Amanda, my name, LA effect.com. And I am just working on a novel right now, working on a novella right now. I'm working on a collection of poetry right now.
all sort of with an oceanic theme. So I like to tell people I'm in my maritime stage. I don't know, but that's kind of me. And today I'm going to be starting off reading a poem that I was told very strongly did not quite make the cut for a particular submission, that the editor sent me a long rejection letter telling me, this is fabulous, please submit this elsewhere. Have not quite got it placed yet, but I'm really proud of it. So I'm going to read this. It's called The Thirst for Timelessness. So without further ado. Anxiety comes at night when the day has tossed and turned itself to sleep. The moon shifts uneasily, a pupilless eye, flooded with borrowed light. We are both satellites trapped in the orbit of time. I am in motion, though I long to be still. I submit to the ants, feel them crawl in my veins. Time dilates and shrinks in sync with their tireless march. When it speeds up fast enough, I can drink it down straight, like water from a well. I see parts of myself I was sure were long dead. See into the void and what lies beyond. And it was once filled once with water. And it was filled once with water, but every ounce of fluid is gone to quench my existential thirst for stillness. And I think that if there was any pool still glistening from that cosmic hole, I'd see my own reflection. The void just casts me back at myself. Some days I am the caller, other times the echo, but every day I'm longing for time to slow, knowing that it'll only be still when it entombs me, in that place where past, present, and future coalesce into singularity. I am the Sisyphus of the modern age. I begin by pushing a boulder up a hill, and by the end, I am simultaneity, eternity, uncertainty, entropy, longing for the illusion of timelessness. Thanks for listening.
Ooh,
Thank you.
That's
this
fabulous.
is,
Thank
I
you.
feel so privileged that we get to do this with technology and everything else. So thank you all for coming in here to do this, because it is a treat every week.
That was stunning.
Yeah. What? I'm not letting it go yet, Amanda. What kind of prompted that? I love it when we talk about our poetry or whatever we've worked on. I like when we talk a little bit about it, because it's like really cool to hear where it came from.
So I struggle with anxiety like a lot of people out there. And when I am in an episode, it usually comes at night, and it feels like insects inside of me crawling around. And I'm kind of fascinated with insects anyway. So I kind of like what kind of bugs are in me crawling around? And then I had just read this fabulous book that I have. I've forgotten both author and title at the moment. But it was a book on time, and how time, how basically entropy is. It kind of talked a little bit about entropy and the reasons why we can't see into the future, and why we are just so kind of bound into the present moment. And really, time is not this perfect past, present, future thing. It is what it is. But we are the ones whose brains are, finite and limited, and we're kind of stuck in this place. And to imagine that there's all this other stuff kind of happening, and you're kind of at the center of it. With and in those episodes of anxiety, kind of almost like feeling victim to it, but also feeling like maybe you're seeing a little bit more than you normally do. So,
yeah. I like it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Okay, I guess I'm up, and I will read a quick poem, and then we're going to hear from Gordon. The poem that I'm reading, I think I've read it on one of these events, so I forget. Sorry for those of you who are hearing this again. This is when I thought our dog was passing away, and then we got him, took him in, got him a bunch of operations and stuff, and now he's doing great and driving me crazy. But at that time, I wrote a haibun for him, and it was the first haibun I'd written, and it just I've been writing haibun ever since. So this is Only Humans Love, and Other Bullshit Propaganda. I have to make sure I'm not muted. Okay, cool. That happened last time. You, crescent of shedding fur, irresistible to my wandering fingers, snout pressed up against under my chin. Your adoration is palpable. Together we are twins of separate species, warped together in the womb of hot afternoon, the fan lulling us with a low hum to create a sultry artificial breeze that plays in slow waves on the Muscatera. A mirage of golden heat, your puppy breath of sour milk, perhaps peach, an undefinable perfume, appealing beyond reason. The whole world naps, and we, too, slide under the spell of indulgent, wandering dream. This for eternity. Until the truth intrudes to prick the back of my eyes. This isn't eternity. This luxury of time we share spins out like a car on ice, me powerless to slow ravenous death as it eats up your minutes too fast. I am the vampire, cursed with eternity as my loves line up to leave me, soft eyes saying final goodbyes, soft brows furrowed in concern at my sorrow as the sweetness turns to salt in my mouth. I scream silently, crush down my breaking heart, and get on with the program because, they say, only humans love, and I make too much of such things. I kiss the top of your head, desperate to keep this, already feeling the passage of time taking you from me, and I do make too much of this thing. This sliver of now is worth all the coming tears. Miss you already. So that was that. I thought I would be okay to read that without getting emotional because, like, he's fine. He just drove me crazy tonight and peed on my clean laundry. But, like, I was like, I'll still miss you. But that was that.
That's awesome. And I think it's totally totally welcome to be emotional while reading things so personal. Like,
yeah. Yeah, well, thank you. Because I always feel like, well, like our culture, especially Western culture, we're not supposed to cry or show emotions. We're all supposed to stiff up our lip and all that. But here, like where I live in Brazil, it is very okay to be emotional. And so it's kind of like when I'm dealing with Western culture again, it's like, oh yeah, I don't want to be emotional. It's not okay to cry at the cafe. But I honestly think we'd probably be a little bit better off maybe if we did allow some of that emotion to freely spill forth.
It helps you regulate. It's like an important bodily function that's kind of brings you back to a level where you can even operate. So it's like you're denying a very needed process. It's like crazy.
Yeah, it has to be a certain amount of emotion to what you're reading. Otherwise, it's just flat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why did you write this story? It's boring.
Yeah.
Poetry is processing.
Yeah. Exactly. And that was definitely a lot of processing at that time. We were super upset it wasn't even just that he was sick, but I think we didn't realize how old he was. He's 13. And so when the vet said, like, how old is he? We were like 8. Well, wait a second. Oh, he's 13. That's pretty old for a dog, and then it kind of like set the chain reaction. But I'm not going to talk about it anymore because then I will be like, let me tell you about Bijou, and and I'll just start listing dogs and cats, and because I love my animals. But Gordon, on that super cheerful note, but don't forget to tell us who you are and where we can find you and all that good stuff.
Okay, well, I'm going to read a short piece from the Nikon 40 collection, which came out 2 years ago. 40 years of Nikon, one of my favorite conventions to go to. And I'm going to try and bring it up on the computer so I can actually read it. I started publishing magazine Space and Time back in 1966. You're now the third owner. And also written about, there'll be 5 novels now. The 5th one's coming out next month. Scores of short stories. Spent a lot of time editing and some other stuff that's really not relevant to the tour that we're doing. This story is called Walking the Dog. Mrs. Altinados faced west, towards the Hudson River. Dawn's encroaching light at her back. Along Merseyside Drive, photosensitized cells were shutting down sodium vapor streetlights. The day had a nippy start, promising colder temperatures than New York City so far experienced this winter, yet was already intensely, blindingly sunny to the east. Little traffic moved in either direction. Nonetheless, Mrs. Altaneros hugged her poodle tightly against her rabbit fur jacket as she crossed the drive. Not until they were several paces within the park's boundary did she set the animal down. Now, neighbors speculated on whether Mr. Altaneros was widowed, divorced, or abandoned. Speculation she fostered by offering different stories at different times. None of them the truth. She had never married. This gave her a slight air of mystery, barely compensating for her otherwise tedious nature. When her building superintendent referenced her, out of earshot, as that loud fake blonde on the second floor, he implied more personality than she actually possessed. Mrs. Altaneros was unaware of, or indifferent to, that lack. With his forepaws once more on solid ground, the poodle let loose several quick, high-pitched barks. "Oh, that's a good Bootsy," Mrs. Altaneros cooed. Seeing no one else around, she slipped Bootsy's leash off his collar. The animal shot out of sight, disappearing behind a thicket along the path. Mrs. Altaneros rolled up the leash and thrust it in her bag so no observer would connect her with the free-running dog. New York's leash laws were a silly nuisance, or would be if she gave them any thought. Nearly as foolish as the regulation forcing owners to clean up after their pets. Why was she paying taxes if she had to do sanitation's job? This wasn't a street. What use were parks if Bootsy couldn't have his freedom? Once, a filthy hippie type with a reddish beard gave her a hard time about children playing here. She told him off. What self-respecting parents let their children play in the dirt? The woman strolled down the twisting asphalt path, giving Bootsy time to take care of his business, out of her sight. She couldn't be forced to clean up or be summoned for what she didn't see. After several minutes, however, Miss Altaneros picked up her pace. Bootsy should have started frisking his way back by now. Lately, he'd been taking longer, distracted by one thing or another. Oh, she hoped he wasn't constipated again. "Here, Bootsy, kiss, kiss." 3 sharp barks came from the next turn of the path. She paused, listening for the scuttering, unclipped nails against the asphalt. Nothing. That Bootsy. Mrs. Altaneros guessed he'd found another homeless wino to badger, like the old man they ran into on their evening walk along the river. She smiled thinly. It was cute. A little black dog nipped and clawed at the merest sliver of exposed flesh, eventually driving the indigent from a park bench or a sheltering doorway. Oh, she knew she shouldn't let him do it. No telling what kind of disease or parasite Bootsy might pick up from those bums. As she guessed, there was Bootsy, hopping like a frog, sniffing here, then there, and a man who lay face down just off the path, seemingly passed out and oblivious. He looked as if he'd gotten a real snoozeful last night, and those disgusting rags practically falling off his body. She gasped in further disgust, seeing the man's buttocks completely exposed to the cold air. He likely passed out while taking a dump, and the city had the nerve to complain about her little Bootsy. She should call the police, have the man taken off the streets for good. Bootsy raised a hind leg to mark his find. Not for the first time. Stop that, Bootsy. Come to Mama. Kiss, kiss. The dog yapped, lowering his leg. He started towards his mistress, then stopped to sniff the ground. A deep growl issued from his throat. Bootsy, come on. Kiss, kiss. Bootsy took 3 more steps, then stopped again, staring at the unmoving man. A pink tongue flicked over the poodle's moist lips, cleaning them. Exasperated, Mrs. Altaneros closed the gap, retrieving the leash from her bag. She grasped her pet's collar. Bad dog, making Mama come so near this vile creature. You're getting a bat today, whether you... The poodle yelped as a clip pinched his skin beneath the curly black fur. Mrs. Altaneros did not respond. As she bent to fasten the leash, she saw now the fresh, slowly widening pools of blood pouring from the man's torn throat. More blood mixed with excrement smeared the ground near the man's ravaged buttocks. Then the wind, blowing towards the river, changed direction. With a sigh, Mrs. Aldenaro scooped up her pet, hugging Bootsy tighter than before against her gray-white fur jacket. She saw no one as she hurried from the park. No one saw her. Once they'd scurried across Riverside Drive, Mrs. Aldenaro let loose another sigh, this one of relief. She'd avoided another uncomfortable confrontation. Tonight, Bootsy, she whispered to the black fur ball in her arms, let's take our evening walk to the west, in Central Park. Break the pattern. Yes? Bootsy licked his owner's hand in agreement. Later that morning, an ashen-faced jogger approached a pair of uniformed officers standing along the river path to report the face-down corpse further up the hill. Surprised to see you, the jogger finished. Don't find many police patrolling here. If only, the officer called the report in, while his partner indicated a strip of plastic police scene tape. Partially concealed in a shadowy thicket, the jogger saw the body of an elderly man, throat torn out, face and hands mutilated overnight by local wildlife. Presumably. Isn't that a cheery story?
I'm seeing a theme here of the dog,
Chilling.
the animals, and the and the villainous animals. It's the theme for tonight.
I like the way it ended as well, just like that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the biggest question I have is, because I know that you're actually in that area somewhat, Gordon. Is this what inspired this story? I almost hate to ask.
Every once in a while, there's a jerk walking their dog. I've not actually found any bodies or anything. And the fact that the woman is indulging her dog is basically what I was going for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just want to see somebody acting really stupid, letting their dog run loose and rip up people's
She's a Karen.
lunch and so on. Say, well, if it goes like one more step.
Yeah, I love the that ridiculous hippie type that was saying like children play here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Where can we find you and support you? Because I don't think that you said that.
Did I find this book?
Well, where can we find you?
Me? I'm on
Yeah.
Facebook. I'm on Facebook. You just
Okay.
track me down, Gordon Linsner at Facebook, and I'll sometimes be posting stuff about stuff I published. I'll sometimes be posting about other things I'm involved in, and sometimes I'll just be talking to my friends or saying, "Hey, I fixed this crossword post in like 5 minutes." That's what you do on Facebook.
Yeah, I remember what I wanted to ask you. When is your book coming out? You said it's coming out next month. That's what I wanted to ask you. Like, can you tell us a little bit about it, like the title and who's taking it, like who's publishing it, and where can we find that?
It's coming from Crossroads Press, and it's called Too Close for Murder. I'd say it's a mystery, except it's not really a mystery. It's more of a suspense thing. You pretty know who the murderers are from the beginning. So it's a matter of, setting things up and having, the main character involved with the bad guy and so on.
Okay. I thought I had that written down in my calendar and I couldn't find it. Crossroads Press. What's the title again?
Too Close for Murder.
Too Close for Murder, and it's coming out what date?
It's coming out, I was told the official date is July 2nd.
Okay.
If you go to the website for Crossroads Press now, you can pre-order it. They've already got it listed.
Yeah, that's why I thought I had it in my calendar already, but then I was looking through, or I put it on a different note. I do have a way of putting notes everywhere where I will never find them again.
Oh, that never happens to me.
As long as you write it in, you don't have to remember it, right? Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. I love this theme. Let's see if the theme holds. Our next guest is also new. We have Amanda is new to the Authortunities Open Mic. Shane is new, and so is our next guest. And I'm going to ask you to pronounce your beautiful name again because I do not want to butcher it.
No, that's okay. My name is Ayana.
Ayana. Okay. I was close with what I was thinking. But yeah, I'm so excited to hear you read. And please feel free to introduce yourself and tell us where we can find you and get all the free promo.
Okay. Well, thank you for such a lovely and warm welcome. My name is Ayana Walker. In this current iteration, I'm moonlighting and masquerading as a writer. I have a debut collection of poetry that's available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and Walmart.com. The title of it is Daddy's Demons and the Dawn. And I'm working on my next collection of poetry, which is tentatively titled Mommy's Magomancy and the Moon. And I am going to be reading a short poem and sticking around for Shane to read, and then I need to tend to an emergency, so I will exit maybe gracefully afterwards. The title of the poem that I'm reading tonight is Y equals X plus 1. 6th grade, and she's already 6 feet under, asunder. She floats through it all as if she were thunder. With wonder, she wonders on her latest blunder. Writing on the wall, gearing up to fall, she walks before she crawls. Lustrous midnight locks, straight as a pin, thick as the plot, dividing split ends, trying on the life of her closest friend. My dad loves drugs more than he loves me, she says almost callously, exceedingly casually, the thesis statement to her reality. I hear her from across the room. 5x5 graph paper, I swoon. Iris on my pencil, graphite spelling womb, out of the mouths of babes, I assume. From what great depths do these orchids bloom? And that's it.
Whew.
Thank you, Ayana.
I have
That was
to,
fabulous.
yeah, that was,
Great reading of that piece.
I need your collection. I need to go find this collection. So I'm going to be hunting this down.
Oh, thank you. It's not in Daddy's Demons and the Dawn.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to write this down.
You
And I don't
still
want to
need
keep
the
you.
book, Angela.
I am going to read this book. It's going on my list. One that I'll actually keep track of. And I don't want to be too slow because I know you said you had an emergency. So I'm going to get to Shane, but tell me all the things that you want to say, like, where can we find you? And I'm going to try to share links in the podcast information box.
So I am on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And on Facebook, I'm Ayana Walker. On Instagram, I'm awalk. That's AWALK .lemni LEMNI .skating SKATING. And I am the same on TikTok, I believe.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Feel free to share anything you want about that inspiration, but emergency, I don't want to keep you. So I'm also like, we can just cut to Shane real quick. So I hope you're ready, Shane. But also, I want to hear more from you.
I'll be back next time.
Okay, awesome. Then I'll be like, no emergency. Okay, we can casually pick your brain.
We can casually pick my brain, and I'm going to stick around for Shane's reading. And it's not an emergency. I have dinner with my father-in-law, and they're in the restaurant, so I'm in the car.
Oh, I got you. Okay, I'm picturing like fingers cut off, and I'm like, God, she's so
No.
I am so relieved.
Not that kind of emergency. Just I'm not looking the best in terms of my father-in-law perceiving me at this current moment.
Oh, okay. Oh, so poet problems.
Poet problems.
Well, then just tell me a little bit about what brought that poem to life. Like, where did that poem come from? And then we'll go to Shane if you have time.
Yeah, my sixth grade math class was home to lots of lovely students. And one of the students literally said that like in the middle of math class, and I was like, wow. And it was something that I held on to for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And so the quote is from that student, and I just created a poem around it.
Wow. That is, yeah. And just thank you. It's just things that are just little fleeting moments, and we just hold on to them. We never know when we're going to wind up using them. Awesome. Well, thanks for reading that, and let's get to Shane so we don't get you in trouble.
All right. I'm Shane. I'm on Facebook. I'm from the seacoast of New Hampshire. I know a lot of us are all spread out across the country, so figured I'd give us some context. I'm just going to get right into it. And also thank you, Pixie, for inviting me to this. This is really meaningful. This is Pyred Lilith. It's an after poem, and I based it off of a cover of They're Coming to Take Me Away from the original Napoleon the 14th. And the cover was by Butcher Babies, which is a female-fronted metal band. We fade into the mortar, bell jar stitched within atrial chambers, the mezzanine slick with excised meninges, carved ever so lovingly by Mackenzie Leucotomy. I hear he experimented on his wife. The science of silencing feminine freedom, hammer and pick in hand, undead, a wraith, man becomes villain, becomes infamy, and distorted hero to postmodern patriarchs and congressmen bent on legal ledger ball gags and right-wing extremists who dress as Offred and Butker, the artificer of white coats and orderlies, seek Liliths for subduction, set Hippocratic hounds into the wilderness, sniff out delinquent wives for transorbitals. The broadcaster assures modern medical marvels in lithium, guarantees upside-down frowns, a return to every woman's childhood fantasy, whitewashed fences, 3-bedroom, 2-car garage, complete with Betty crockery, rosé to ease pain and faded freedom, and children reared in husband's image, like Freeman and Watts caress the embodiment of white narcissist Jesus, prophesy, and our great metal Lord saith, so shall women be as oysters, being docile, compliant, smiling, before hammer and pick and size gray matter. The eye glistens with meningeal liquor. You see, man's heirs come, dressed in certified MDs, Senate-backed HBs, MAGA capped with backpacks of books for burning. They gather before the altar of steel stirrups. Drool drips down the birth canal, a delivery into Americana forest, as patient 2573 restrained for 3 previous abortions, pro-life gynos gloved in God and country. After the gender assignment, Butler and Morrison and Plath become flammable. The pyre constructed of feminist manifestos, tracts, and dissertations on gender spectrums, match struck against IVF-assisted uterus, a torch lit melts shadow against the sterility of isolation wards, engulfs words once uttered in secret, fills Liliths with the living word, as smoke, as last rites envelop their primal screams.
Yay! Thank you,
have
Shane.
to
I
know.
love it.
That's
Bravo.
awesome. Yeah. Where? Where did that come from?
So it's kind of my wife's fault. She got me into a county job, as Pixie and Ayana know. Our lunch breaks are an hour long, and it gave me an opportunity to restructure my time writing and researching. And I started to think about the development of the feminist oppression throughout the decades. And then I was like, wait, what about lobotomies? Okay. So there was the hammer and the ice pick method by Freeman and Watts way back in the.
I read about that. It's horrific.
Yeah, but the percentage of women to men that were lobotomized was also horrific. So that got me thinking, how did that morph into where we're at with legislation today, with reproductive rights, with feminist rights? And that's how that developed. And Butcher Babies is just a very, very aggressive feminist metal band. I'm like, that is a perfect mashup.
I like it. We have
I
had
like
a
it too.
little bit of everything in here.
I was told not to read it at one of the poetry readings in the Seacoast because it was too powerful.
Now, that's what we want here. What we said, no rules, just no hate. If there's no hate, then bring it on. We want that. And I know Ayana has to leave, and thank you so much for being here and bringing your beautiful work. And I hope we see you again. I hope we hear you again.
Take care.
Take care, Ayana.
All right. Well, I love it. Shane, thank you for bringing that powerful poem here. And yeah, keep them coming. So, all right, I guess now my screen is rearranged, but let's do round 2. And I think we're starting with Pixie, right? Are you ready, Pixie?
Yes, I am. I will be reading a short poem that I have in submission, so I can't tell you where it is submitted, but it's one of my first pieces that I've never been able to do simultaneous subs on. In season. Ripe dream fruit are in season finally. All colors, no colors, those impossible colors. Night, sky, sunset fruit, blood fruit, droops falling, machetes severing, harvested by Wartenberg neurowheels, hand-pollinated by microfilaments, sticky, syrupy, and astringent, full of nacreous arrows and poisonous. Never spit out the seeds. Cover your mouth, swallow them as if they are Persephone, and your mouth a greedy rose, an aged ivory cave. When they ripen, as they must, are a toxicologist's wet dream, and burst forth from your skull, fully formed and foliate. Savor the sweetness in your last breath. The empty flesh, shoveled into the barrows, soul sundered away, always fertilizes. Thank you. It's a new poem as well.
Whoa, I love that.
Thank you so much.
That imagery is just really, I don't know, I thought it was going a different direction too, and then
I did it in, like, I do timed writing exercises. What can I do in 5 minutes? And that was one of the 5-minute poems. And I tidied it up, and that's its final form. And I submitted it to a particular showcase, and I'm waiting for my rejection now.
You mean just to hear back? Because you don't know if it will be
No, I
rejected.
have no idea, but I did submit it to a particular showcase I wanted, and whatever happens, happens. So I'm just waiting for it to come back.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see where that finds a home, where that lands, be it that place or another place, because that's
Thank
awesome.
you.
I
Thank
like
you so much.
the 5-minute thing, because then you kind of have to turn off that inner editor, you know, the little
Absolutely.
that tells you what you can't write.
I just let it all out, and I'll clean it up later. And I try to do a 5-minute poem, or another challenge is to beat the electric kettle right?
Oh
Something in the
yeah.
time it takes the water to boil. And my cookie on Amazon Prime Day was a water boiling poem
Oh,
from
that's
my
funny.
book.
Yeah,
So thank
that's
you very
awesome.
much. I'm glad that you guys liked it.
Yeah, those are two good
Yeah,
ideas. I like
thank
that.
you.
All right, Amanda, are you ready to read round 2? Step
Yeah,
into the ring.
I'm in the ring. I'm doing it. Just me and this poem. Oh, let's see. All right. This one was actually inspired by an image. So it's a little different, but I did some research and started reading about this African goddess named Marimba, who is the source of a lot of it. There's a legend that a lot of musical instruments, came from Marimba, and it's something. She's kind of like a folk hero that hasn't been written about very much, and kind of a mysterious figure. So I kind of delved right in and wrote a little horrific marimba poem. So without further ado, Marimba rises at dawn, ties another rod into her elaborate bun, regards the corpse at her feet with a mixture of awe and defeat. The curse is lain waste to nearly a dozen, fierce men conditioned by the hunt, and she bears the weight of them, carries the lingering scent of their wants. Her burden is eased only by the song that emanates when the bars are struck, each sweet note plucked from their pain transformed. The men grow cold as swarms of maggots feed, but who holds the mallet? Who makes them bleed? Is she musician or instrument, commander or mouthpiece? She who refused to serve preferred a curse to a curtsy, sacrificed lasting love for these spider dreams, webwork rife with Anansi schemes. And what does it mean that she seeks the melody even as they crawl in the dirt like beasts, begs the wind to rise up on its invisible wings, even as they call out with their dying breath, even as they fall upon their knees, entreating reprieve from their agony? Yes, even then something conjures the song. Vibrations echo through her immortal being, and she knows that it could not be this way if she were not gored empty. She is a vessel waiting to be filled by the will of something more powerful than the whimsy of men with their flimsy spears. That night Marimba dreams of the mallet and the hand that wields it, how she fears it. It is rich chocolate, a velvet whisper of movement, panther swift, the gold bangles adorning those wrists. She wakes with the silken strands of the weaver still drifting behind her eyes, so much dust caught in a sunbeam. She turns to a more comfortable position, catches her breath, and then nearly screams, with all of the strength she's got left. For she hears the jangle of fine jewelry she knows she's removed, set in its tray, golden, with turquoise inlaid. Marimba shivers then, smiles, reluctantly caresses the bright gem, marvels at the interplay of the blue and the green. And as the dawn sun breaks her reverie, she rises again, and she begins to sing. Thanks.
Whew, great atmosphere
Brava.
going. Yeah,
Brava.
that's nice. Well, I know you already told us where it came from. When you said spiders, I was kind of thinking Anansi. Is that part of that?
Yeah, so I was kind of trying to play in a little bit of African mythos as I could. And when I think about dreams, they're kind of tangled up, the strands of them sometimes. And it's
Yeah,
almost like there's this kind of weaver in
yeah.
our heads. But Anansi is also a trickster god.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of like, can these be believed? Can they not be believed? So it's kind of
Yeah, I like that.
sometimes.
Yeah, and Flame Tree just extended their Anansi call too, their Anansi submissions call. If
Oh, I didn't know there was one. That's
Oh
amazing.
yeah, I will send you that information.
Cool.
It's in Authortunities.
That's very convenient, isn't it?
Yeah. I just saw that last night or yesterday or whenever I was working on the newsletter. Yeah, so I'll send you that
Nice.
information.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. I love Anansi. It's Loki and Anansi are some of my favorites. So, all right, I will read, and then we're going to hear from Gordon. This. Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm going to read a story from originally published in a space and time collection called Going Postal.
Oh, nice. Appropriate.
you know. And actually, before I do that, I want to make a correction. The title of that other book was actually Close Enough for Murder.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was close enough.
For what?
Right. I'm going to read a short story called The Van. Originally appeared in Going Postal and then was reprinted by Ian Stroke and one of his Horror for the Thrones, a collection of 40 or so stories you can bring when you're, making a pit stop. Let's call this one here. Well, The Van. The van was the color of stale coffee, dull, dark, stale coffee with a border of crab shell orange rust along the bottom of its chassis. A plastic bag was taped over one rear window, but the glass was missing. The license plates were splattered with mud to illegibility. Yet the motor was well tuned, barely purring at high speeds. Tied to the grill with yellow twine was a foot-high doll, a modern makeshift figurehead. One plastic eye was missing, the left. Scraps of its tattered ballerina costume fluttered as the vehicle raced through the empty suburban streets that Sunday morning. The child was no more than 4. She wore a plain white cotton dress, which she'd put on all by herself. The sun shone too bright. The air smelled too fresh for her to stay indoors waiting for her parents to wake. All right, she assured her favorite toy, a bedraggled koala bear clutched under her left arm. As long as she stayed near the house, in the yard, or on the front lawn. Well, certainly no further than the curb. And of course, she would never, ever step into the street, not without a grown-up, not even when she couldn't see any traffic. Certainly not now. The van's front wheels swerved. There was a metallic scrape and a thump as it jumped the curb at the driveway. The child's mouth opened. There was another thump. The van jounced back onto the street and rolled to a stop. It paused, then backed up, hugging the curb until it was even with the child. The driver climbed out of the van, leaving the motor running. He wore mirror glasses and a black t-shirt. His lips and lower chin trembled. The koala lay just inches from the small, unmoving hand. The driver picked it up by a rounded ear. There was a fresh streak under one plastic eye, a scarlet teardrop. The toy seemed almost alive in his quivering hand. Unlike the child. Capillary action was dyeing the dress bright red. He did not even try to touch her. There would be no point. A scream came from the house. The driver spun, leapt back into the van. Tires squealed, overwhelming the scream as the van tore down the empty street. An hour later, the quiet little suburb 50 miles away, the driver pulled into a rest stop along the highway. There, he took a long swig of brown liquid from the bottle in the glove compartment. There, he got out and added fresh mud to the license plates. There, he removed the ballerina doll from the grid and the grill. The koala lay on the passenger seat where he tossed it just before making his escape. Bare patches on its coat spoke of too many hugs. The fur beneath its eye was already stiff and black. He avoided touching that spot as he tied the bear in the doll's place. The ballerina was tossed in a large cardboard box in the back of the van, a box more than half filled with torn, soiled, road-withered toys. The van started down the road again. The driver's hands once more held the wheel in a steady grip for the time being. Another feel-good story, yeah.
Wow.
I'll come with something happier next time.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I like the dark. Yeah, I think I was waiting for the koala to do something more. I think I was like waiting for the koala to go all what was the dog in the last story's name?
Bootsy?
Bootsy, yeah. I think I was waiting for the koala to go bootsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. What? So sometimes I really am afraid to ask what inspired that.
Crazy Drivers. I just was looking for something really dark.
Yeah. Yeah, the description of the van from the very first kind of had me because you did that so well with the dark coffee, like dark old coffee does have that particular hue of brown that's the only way you can describe it. Awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, thank you, Gordon, and congratulations and good luck on that book that's coming up.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
I guess I'm going to read real quick, and then we'll have Shane, and then we will wrap it up for another Opportunities open mic. I'm just like fabulous readings tonight. You guys have all been awesome. Everybody's been bringing the A+ game. So, all right, and this is called The End, or How to Break Up with a Book. I think I just found somebody I'm going to send this to too. They're having an open call that needs like broken up romance kind of thing. And I don't write a lot of that, but this is kind of like one. And again, it's a high bun because that's, all I've been doing lately. The End, or How to Break Up with a Book. I stand alone on the park path, broken-hearted, and as you walk away, the rain begins, and I realize you took not only my joy, but my umbrella too. The drops fall thick, plastering my hair to my face, ruining the makeup I artfully applied this morning and camouflaging the fat tears that roll down my cheeks. When you said you had something important to tell me, I expected romance. Why else would we meet where we first met? But you always needed to be center stage, and your final impacts, fracturing me, my plans for next weekend, us, my epicenter schisms within the cage of my chest, struggling to contain all the sobbing, shattering spasms that threaten to break me, like the iron sky is trying to drown me, air to suffocate me, and gravity to pull me down and bury me in this grave mistake I have made. And I laugh. And I laugh, and I laugh, and I am laughing, not because I love the feeling of my world exploding into emotional shrapnel, but because I know my shattering dreams will fall into a grander design than yourself, centered on yourself, could ever know. Our paths have now parted, and I can see mine has never been straight. But despite the wrong turns, ups and downs, and pitfalls, it has led me to this sodden and soaked moment, bereft and baptized by storm. My infernal engine still beats, pushing blood, pushing me forward. I breathe, having lived long enough to know an end never is, and this goodbye may be forever, or just for now, but I need to go forward, looking for words to bury you with. I will exercise this pain with pen and shelf you alphabetically as fiction. Time to turn the page, another chapter finished. This is not the end. And that was How to Break Up with a Book. With a person.
I was going to say, there's so much layers to that. Just, wow.
That is amazing. I love the laughter. I love the spite. All things are possible through spite is a motto of the Stafford Chaos Poets. So that definitely rings so true for that was fabulous.
Oh, thank you. I read it to my husband, and he listens. He's like, I like it, but you trying to say something? It's not autobiographical. Well, Shane, you are going to close us up for the night. What have you got for us?
I have, well, they're all recent because of the Stratford Writing Challenge. I have Aorta Picks, which is an anagrammatical poem. I've been kind of playing with the idea of how do we do Ars Poetica as poets in a subgenre such as this, and I kind of came up with this. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to say, poetry is the essence of existence, the nectar given by the muse's sacred mandate. But then again, we mean to say what we mean. Translations break somewhere in between. So I'll say this. The multiplicity condensed, dissonant memories plus waterboarding at age 4 equals a force-fed confession. This pen, the fork, this page, the Dixie plate. I'm a scavenger of myself. Flex, embedded along riverbed skin. Love long evaporated. I think I'm supposed to say, really, I'm okay, fine, all right, or any formula used to calcify this shell, these narratives that float below hypnotic and leach a truth encoded. Lay awake with me at 2:38 a.m., brave the train prior to derailment, watch pallets of selves spill out as iron gall on blank parchment. Despite the chorus of debasement, isolation, and refrains of ode to conditional love, and a breakdown in 3/4 B minor harmonic scale, there lies poetry.
Nice.
Thank
Tell
you,
me,
Shade.
yeah, tell me, repeat the part about Ars Poetica. Like, where did that, like, I know that.
I've been playing with the idea of like Ars Poetica. It's like, okay, we write poetry about poetry. That's
Yeah.
fabulous. I've seen poems that are like, okay, I've taught my class this about poetry as a poet, but it's like, let's go deeper. Like, what's expected as a poet as to what actually happens under the surface on the subconscious level. So I used a search engine to find anagrams of the phrase Ars Poetica, and one of the anagrams is aorta pix.
Awesome. Yeah, that's where I was like, wait, how did aorta pix get it connected to, yeah, and I think I missed the anagram part, but I really like that. That's something that is definitely a poem to read and chew over. Because I feel like I just need to revisit that like 5 times. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
That's yeah, and I guess that's it for today. But
Thanks,
thank
Shade.
you, everybody. This has been a killer night. Literally
Thank
killer,
you,
but
Angela.
also yeah, absolutely. Before we go, there's only 4 of us left in here. We are the final 4. Do you guys, this is like an off the cuff kind of thing. We're not prepared for this, but as we leave, do you want to tell something like what could encourage other people to read their poetry, to come to an open mic if they think they're afraid, or to get into poetry if they think they're not good enough? What would you tell somebody? I would just say, do it. Just shut up and do it.
There
That's what I would
is
say.
You won't know you're good
strength
enough
in
unless you have to do
vulnerability.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to actually, get up there and walk and know your audience too. When you get up, I see people go up there and they're staring at the paper and they're mumbling and they're not coming off. Look at your audience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
See how they're reacting. Pause once in a while you're reading. Interact with them. You'll get a lot more response that way.
Yeah. That's good advice.
I
You
like
just
that.
described me reading poetry at first,
I
Gordon. With the paper.
suggest I suggest leaning into the discomfort. There is a great strength that comes from vulnerability. It makes us more resilient, and also every voice, every experience, even if it's coming out as slipstream, it matters, and it will electrify one person's brain or mind. So whatever you feel, whatever you think, even if it's strange, and go for it. Write it. Speak your truth and share it because it matters to somebody. Poetry is important. It's the emperor has no clothes. We're still calling out that he's buck naked and walking down the street, and literature still exists.
Amen. How about you, Shane?
I agree. I host a small workshops similar to this, where it's like 4 people at the most. And there was a new person, and she was like, I can't write like Allen Ginsberg does or as Ocean Vuong does. And my response was, that's okay. No poetry that's written is bad poetry.
Mm-hmm.
We're all at different stages, and that's okay.
I agree. And it's subjective. What you might like, I might not like, or it might resonate with me a year from now when I'm having that kind of experience. There's no wrong way. With poetry, I'm going to say just creativity, art in general. Just go do it. Well, I guess with that, now that we've waxed all philosophical, it's time to go, and we will be back next week with more poetry. If you want to get poetry and prose and music and whatever you like, and if you want to get in on this and be a reader, just go to authortunities.substack.com and you will find the sign-up list. So, and with that, thank you all. You guys, this has been an amazing evening. I'm very selfish. I feel very selfish that I get to enjoy this pleasure before everybody else, but sorry, you should have been in here. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right.
Grab some paper, grab your pen, open opportunities, and you can begin. When you exercise your rights and get published, you may change. Write your own path, both wonderful and strange, with opportunities. With